And good afternoon. It is Wednesday, September 25th, just after 3 p.m., 3:02 p.m. And we are rolling along here with our Ask the Council segment. For those who've been following along on our website, whatsupnewt.com, we've rolled out an Ask the City Manager, Ask the Superintendent, Ask the Mayor, Ask the Council, Ask the Candidates. All have rolled out in the last couple of weeks on whatsupnewt.com. You can go to any of those links on our website. You can drop questions for the candidates or drop questions for the council or whatever position it may be, and we try to ask them, as well as other questions that are relevant to our guest. And tonight is a Newport City Council meeting, and I'll make a quick note, as I've been doing, due to the City Hall elevator being out of service. If you are watching this live right now, know that Newport City Council meeting has been moved to Pell Elementary School tonight, due to the elevator being out of service at City Hall. Who will be at Pell Elementary is Newport City Council, 2nd Ward, Charlie Holden. Charlie, how are you?
Fantastic, Ryan. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. And Pell Elementary School tonight for the meeting. And what's on the agenda that you're keeping an eye on?
Oh, there's a handful of things. First off, I just want to say, again, thanks for having me on. I've been a counselor for 3.5 years now, and I've been itching to get on here at some point to have a segment. So,
of course, I'm sorry it took so long. As you know, and everybody thinks we're this big news operation. People don't realize that I have to touch absolutely everything that goes on with our website, and sometimes having multiple video interviews. But we've moved some stuff around, some furniture around, and we're. So people know the logistics. Everybody on council is able to come on whenever they want to talk about up until the election, anything that's on the agenda. And then following the election, they have the link. They can book any time to chat about anything they want in the city following the election as well. But leading up to the election, we're using Ask the Council to talk about agenda items. And Charlie will be joining me to talk about his campaign next week or the week after. I'll get the exact date here in a little bit. October 10th. There you go. So that's what you hear about Charlie, the candidate. Today's Charlie, the counselor. And what's on the agenda?
Yeah, well, I think the majority of the residents know the biggest thing is the sewer rate change. That is actually, if you look at the agenda now, that's actually the last thing that's on the agenda. But I promise you, I'm making the motion when we start to put that first, so everyone can figure out what's going on. It became apparent. We had a great workshop last week, a packed house. I think it was about 60 people showed up, which was great. And to put it plainly, as a counselor, and I'll just speak for myself, we made a mistake in judgment of what we were doing. The intention was to help the full-time residents with the sewer rate charge, and it didn't work out that way. Basically how the math and how the billing worked out, it didn't work out. So we are going back. We're gonna change it, go back to the old way for right now until we get a better plan in place that will really help the residents and hopefully save some money for the long-term people.
And I've explained this a couple times, but I'll do it once more. Sometimes things in government or government as a whole takes a while to move anything or to get anything done. City Council recently discovered the issue, held a workshop last week on Monday. They held ordinance changes take 2 readings. On Monday, they held an emergency meeting of sorts to hold the first hearing. So tonight is the second hearing. So after tonight, then city administration can go and implement the changes. So some others have said this is the fastest thing ever to be done in the city of Newport, and I'm pretty sure it is.
It feels like it, I tell you, especially after the last, 3 or 4 meetings that we've had at City Council that have been marathon sessions. To be able to turn around and do something quick and hopefully painless at the end of the day for most people. But I do want to mention that anyone that has paid their bills will be getting a refund as well if they paid the new charge. So. Again, we're doing the best we can to fix the situation and please everyone.
Yeah, and somebody made a comment. I can't remember if it was you or not, but that they had never heard from so many residents. Yeah, was it you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that's great. I always think it's very important for for all residents, to get involved in what's going on, at least to have some idea. In this situation, this was something that we did, and it took 2 readings to pass, but this was back in May, and no one really, paid attention for a lot of different reasons, until also the bills hit them, and then everyone is up in arms about it, and and rightfully so. So yeah. I'm glad, like I said, we had a full house at the workshop the other night, so that was great. I've had a ton of phone calls, emails. Literally, people stop me on the street everywhere I go, and whether they're friends of mine or just some of my constituents. It's been great. And that's why you do this thing. I don't do this for the money for sure, because there's not a lot of it there. But you do it to try to do the best you can to help people out, and try to make Newport as best of a place as possible to live.
And this item, I think, kind of just went through during the perfect storm. You had a new city manager, new finance director. You had a lot of changes in the city, and there were all sorts of eyes moving on and off of it. And it's good to hear that it seems like everybody on council, of course, we never know until the vote, but it seems like this should move pretty quickly tonight. You've been heard. Yeah. What else on the agenda, Charlie, are you interested in this evening besides the whole thing?
Yeah, there's a few things coming up. I think the other big one is going to be the short-term rental proposed moratorium in the business districts. We had a reading on that 2 weeks ago at our last meeting. I believe it was 5-2 in favor of the ban. There's been a lot of information that's come out since then. I voted against it. I don't think we should be, banning any businesses in a business district. I know we've banned them in the residential districts, and rightfully so. I think it's important that we have these, whether it's a general business district, the waterfront district, even limited. It's important that we allow people to conduct business as it is, regardless of what business, whether you're for it or against it. Probably if we had more time today, we could probably really dig deep into it. But there's a lot of things that take part in this. It's not just, hey, you ban the short-term rentals and that's going to open up housing for a lot of people, because that's not really the reality of things. These whether they're houses or multifamily or single houses, people put a lot of money into these places. It's not like they're going to turn around and just start renting them, on a year basis or 9 month a 9 month basis. They're valuable pieces of real estate. If they were to sell, they're not. No one's going in and buying a first time home buyer for a $1.3 million house that's right in the middle of downtown. So there's a lot to it. There'll be some more information that'll come out at the council meeting tonight, but I just think it's important that we allow business to take place where business is supposed to take place.
I'm wondering, this is an agenda item, yeah. So going from the first reading 2 weeks ago to this reading, how much goes into play? You voted against it last time. I'm sure you've heard from residents, talked to city staff. Take me through how you come to make a decision on the second go around here, or what's changed since then.
Well, the biggest thing, and to be as transparent as possible, we're facing the possibility of getting sued if we ban short-term rentals, or put a moratorium on it. One of my first thoughts when I saw the word moratorium, I'm like, hey, last time a city council put a moratorium on something, that was any building in the north end, and we ended up losing out on the Newport Grand property, not being able to develop that right away, and then obviously COVID hit and things happened. But so anytime you want to ban something or put a moratorium, you have to be very careful on what the effect that will have, going forward. It's not, again, it's not as simple as just saying, hey, we're not going to allow this anymore, and you move on. It's, there's a lot of moving parts, especially when you're dealing with people's private property, especially, and then when you're dealing with the zoning issues. If we were to ban short-term rentals in the business zone, where does that stop? There's the next council that comes in December. Do they say, hey, No, we don't want any more restaurants to open up downtown, or do we not want any more ice cream shops open downtown? And if you ban one thing, that opens the door to banning other things, and that's a very slippery slope you start to go down.
Another example I used earlier is Next hotels. I guess that goes to your point. One of the things I thought was interesting is one of your fellow councilors brought up that banning them would almost create the liquor license effect because of the properties that already have them would still have the opportunity, if they sold them, to still be a short-term rental. So you're almost making the liquor license effect by doing it.
Oh yeah, it'll create a black market for sure.
That's
because the short-term rental registration that goes with the property, doesn't go with the owner.
Yeah.
So once that is stuck on, say it's 420 Fame Street, that stays regardless of who buys it and who sells it. So and that stays forever.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Of course, I was going to ask you later, but action items. You currently represent the second ward, but I'm sure you'd be happy to hear from anybody in the city of Newport. What best way to communicate with you about these items? Is it email? Is it phone? Is it going down Thames Street and looking for you?
Yeah. Email's the best way. Cholder, CHOLDER at cityofnewport.com. But you can text me or give me a phone call, 401-480-9079. I do all my best, if I can't answer right away, to get back to people as soon as possible. Or you can find me down at the Gardner House for sure, working away. So stop on in with a shameless plug. But yeah, I'm always willing to listen to people and hear different takes. I find I see myself as more of a listener than a talker on the city council, and because you need to get all your facts in. We have a lot of important votes that we participate in, and I think it's extremely important to know what you're voting on, and again, not just make a knee-jerk reaction, but know the facts, know what happens, what the reconciliations are when you do make a vote, because we're lucky. I'll go back to the sewer rate change. We're lucky that we can go back and fix that, because that was a mistake on our part. Sometimes we don't realize that until it's too late. So.
Yeah, and looking at the agenda, and let me pull it up here so we can everybody can have a look at it. It as you mentioned, it is a jam-packed one. There is some rearranging of everything here. The Board of License Commissioners is going to go first, according to the agenda. Please take note for anybody who's watching and listening. This will not take place in the council chambers, as the agenda says. Pell Elementary School. Just one more time. Head there. But consent calendar, then it sounds like you'll be moving, somebody will be moving for the sewer tax to move closer up to the top of the agenda as well.
Yeah, and that's a motion I have made. I made it at the workshop. I made it at our special meeting on Monday, and I'll do it again at the beginning of this meeting tonight, because I know a lot of people it's going to impact a lot of people, and we want to make sure that we get that done so people, the majority of people, don't have to stay throughout, because if this is another 4+ hour meeting, I don't want our residents to have to sit through other things that, might not affect them so much. Which is why we reshuffled how the docket is set up. One of the reasons is we've had, for instance, if somebody's going for a license, or say an entertainment license or liquor license transfer, things of that nature, they would have to come in early on. We, as a council, we vote on the license. Then they have to wait until we meet as the liquor license board, and that could take 3+ hours. So it was one of us, we had the idea of, hey, let's just put it together so they don't have to stay around. I want people to stay around for meetings and listen and be part of it, but a lot of people have families, they have businesses, they have jobs. So I thought it was in everyone's best interest to try to streamline things. Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. I saw our friends from Chantrell and TSK there all night, and that's just one example of
from one meeting. And then you have your normal licenses, permits, actually special event licenses, permits. Something that will be interesting to watch is the special event licenses for Cars and Coffee, as well as some of those items. I've heard, social media elsewhere, just some concerns regarding noise in those events.
Yeah, one of the concerns that, again, which is why I like being on with you this close to the meeting tonight, is that there's also the Cars and Coffee. There's also the Amica Marathon pretty much at that same time.
Oh, there you go.
That was something that wasn't kind of picked up earlier. So that's and in those situations we defer to the Newport Police Department and the Traffic Department and take their opinion, and we'll vote on it from there.
Excellent. Communications City Manager, we're just looking at seasonal rentals, not just. It is a big one. It has been months in the work. And anything else moving down here in the system?
Yeah, I think we'll get some people talking about the Dixon Street. I know this should be the second reading because we're changing Dixon Street from a one-way west to east, so Thames to Spring Street.
Yeah, here it is.
We're going to go Spring to Thames Street.
Yeah.
So that could affect some neighboring streets. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to come out and talk about that and how it might affect. Hammond Street would be the next one. They have it's a two-way street, but they have a no through way sign there as well. So we want to try to make the street safer, especially Dixon Street is a narrow street and the residents really want this. So we're gonna try it out with them and then see how that affects things.
Excellent. And that was before the council a couple of times leading up to this, and lots of great conversation. Anytime it goes back and forth, I think it's great conversation, and that's taking place. And you have a chance at 6:30 this evening to have your say, or by email before then.
Yeah, and one other action item that was piqued my interest is the Murphy Field tennis and basketball court restoration. I think that's a well-deserved action item, and hopefully it'll pass. Those courts need some TLC for sure. And then I know there's a lot of kids and a lot of adults in that area of town that use those courts often. I remember, in my days, going up there playing basketball and whatnot. So it'll be nice to get the tennis courts and the basketball courts fixed up, make them safer for everyone to use. Yeah,
and it looks like about not to exceed $270,000 is what will go in front of council this evening. So along with a lot of other information. So, and then of course, just making our way down here, we have the carousel at the former carousel, formerly known as Easton's Beach Carousel, where this resolution kind of just says, city administration, can you look at finding a new home for it?
Yeah, that's going to be a great conversation for sure. That's something that's been discussed in my 2 terms so far. When it was decided that we were going to remove it from the beach, where is it going to go? You start to look around. There's not many places to fit a carousel because you have to have, the land in place that has to be buildable to put a carousel on there. Then you have to have the parking. You have to have it, or at least some sort of walking distance or bicycling distance for people to go to. So it's not just you just bring it somewhere and drop it down and there you go. And the other part of it, a lot of the parks, recreation areas that we have in the city are trusted. So, whether it's a Quinnick Land Trust or some of the other ones. So there's permissions involved. And then obviously there's the monetary value of where's the money going to come from to move it? So I think part of this resolution is asking the administration to maybe look at a public-private partnership. Is that a possibility? Is there some sort of donor that's out there that would want to help the city and the residents by making the carousel available for people? and maybe not just is not going to be down at the beach this time.
Is there? I don't expect you to know this answer, but just putting it out there. Is there an opportunity for a state-city partnership? I'm thinking about Fort Adams or Brenton Point State Park, or I guess that's all for.
Yeah, I mean, everything's on the table. I would never say no, that's not a possibility. I mean, we have to always look at every avenue that we can, especially for something like this that is a draw for people that does have that nostalgia to it for a lot of Newporters. So if it is something that's at Fort Adams, that could work out well. Brenton Park, I'm not really sure. I don't know what too much difference between that and being down at the beach as far as the weather goes. But again, just having people get there, to use it. So.
Well, maybe.
I mean, it could be back at the beach at some point. Who knows? That's not off the table either.
Yeah, maybe somebody could fund it and put it over at Rogers High School. So who knows?
It would be better there than the dirt pile, that's for sure.
That's it. Which luckily is not on the docket.
No.
At least that I
doesn't
know.
mean it won't get brought up, but it's not on the docket.
Yes. Anything else on there, Charlie? It's actually compared to the last council meeting, this one actually looks pretty smooth running.
Well, they all look like that at first, Brian, I can tell you, until you get into it. But, there's a couple of things on the some of the zoning issues. I know like development standards is one of the accessory uses. There's a lot of nuanced information in there that I'm sure will bring up some discussion. Obviously, the short-term rental part will take the majority of that time, but yeah, there are a couple little details in there that will be discussed for sure.
All right. Well, excellent. Anything else people should know about tonight's meeting, the agenda, or what you think is coming up for City Council?
Just say if you can't make it to Pell School tonight, you can go on the City of Newport website and streamline the meeting. So if you can't make it down there, it's always available, or you can always go back and watch the video of it. But again, I hope people do take the time to either, if they can't make it in person, to join online, or at least go back and rewatch it and stay involved and stay informed. We have a lot going on, and then obviously, 6 weeks from today is election day, so.
Yeah, that's moving quick. 3 months from today's Christmas. So
I know. I already started my shopping just in case.
No way. So 2.5 months. The new council will be in place December 1st, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Action items for residents, voters, businesses in the 2nd Ward. What do you need from them?
What do I need from the voters?
Yeah. What do you? Well, not election related. Not election related, but what do you need to hear from your constituents in regards to meetings? Do you need feedback on any particular item? Anything like that?
Yeah, I just again, like I said before, I just want them to stay involved, stay on top of what's going on. It's important. It makes, I don't go into these meetings on the council about what I need and what I think is best. I go by what my constituents feel is best. And it's also not just the 2nd Ward, even though I do represent the 2nd Ward. And I've enjoyed it for so much. I am running at large this time around, but my vote is 1 vote out of 7. So regardless if you're at large or a ward, your vote is important. So if you're not a 2nd Ward resident and you have questions for me, and don't hesitate to reach out. Again, email me or give me a call, text, what have you. It's important for me to get people's opinions and thoughts on different things. I don't know everything. I know what I don't know. And, I rely heavily on our public and our residents and our business owners to do the right thing. Excellent.
Well, looking forward to the meeting tonight, I guess, is what I'll say. I'll be watching and following along. One thing I'll note, and I had mentioned this on the phone to another counselor, but let's get on the next agenda. Something for our dear friend Bob Angel and all he's done. For
I'm already working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that I'm advocating, but that's a good advocating. 58 years calling games and I love the recognitions that happen at city council meetings.
I tell you, that man is an absolute legend, not only in Newport, in Rhode Island, but New England, if not more than that. And I would be honored to be able to do something for him for recognition. I've been lucky enough that he's announced my name numerous times.
I was just going to say, he's
way
probably
back in the day. So,
are you the Councilor Napolitano mentioned that it's called her son's games, Sean's games, but you're probably the only councilor who has had his name called in a sports game by Bob Angel. I'm thinking.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, just random trivia, if anybody wants to know. Anyway.
We won't say how long ago that was, but yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. All right, it's Councilor Charlie Holder. Well, we appreciate this, and we'll talk to you soon before the next council meeting, and then we'll talk to you as a candidate here on October 10th. Thanks for joining us.
Ryan, thanks so much for the time. It's always great to see you, and thank you very much.
All right, so that is Councilor Charlie Holder. If you missed any portion of this conversation, want to watch it again, want to share it, available on whatsupnuke.com. Thanks for watching.